My happiness was the unhappiness of a person who could not say no. Have you ever made a decision so wrong that it left you with more than just shame, anger, or sadness? A decision that felt as if you had lost a part of yourself, as if you'd betrayed your own being and deliberately steered your life closer to the edge of destruction, despite having everything you need? As if your existence was too perfect to accept, forcing you to sabotage it just to maintain a sense of tension? No Longer Human by Usamaru Furuya delves into precisely this kind of self-destructive existence. Inspired by Osamu Dazai's novel of the same name, this manga plunges deep into the darkest recesses of the human soul. It's a journey into the abyss, one that feels disturbingly real, where some may even recognize fragments of their own darkest thoughts. At the heart of the story is Yozo Oba, a young man who has always felt like an outsider. On the surface, he plays the role of a cheerful, charismatic person. He entertains others with his clowning, is polite, well-educated, and comes from a privileged background. To those around him, he appears almost perfect. Yet beneath this carefully crafted facade, he is plagued by fear, self-doubt, and an overwhelming sense of disconnection from the world. His life is a cycle of self-inflicted ruin, despair, and a relentless attempt to escape from himself. He struggles to comprehend the human condition, crafting his every action to ensure he remains likable to those around him. This narrative is amplified by Furuya's remarkable ability to visually depict pain and isolation in hauntingly realistic illustrations. His artwork oscillates between unsettling beauty and nightmarish distortions, each page serving as a mirror into the depths of the human psyche. The regret and emptiness consuming Yozo are vividly palpable in several panels, making the story feel less like fiction and more like an intimate, personal descent. Usamaru Furuya stays true to the core essence of Dazai's novel, but reinterprets it through a modern lens. While the novel is introspective and literary, the manga relies on powerful visuals to convey Yozo's psychological collapse in an even more intense, almost suffocating manner. The bleak illustrations heighten the novel's impact, transforming the manga into a gripping and unique experience. But it's not just the visuals, it's the way this manga influences us. It forces us to confront our own existence. We empathize with Yozo, even when we resist it. We feel his hopelessness, his fear, his spiral of self-destruction. Yozo is a character shaped by relatable psychological struggles, his feelings of alienation, his inability to form deep emotional bonds, and his tendency for self-sabotage parallel disorders such as borderline or major depressive episodes. His use of social masks as a coping mechanism only isolates him further. Interwoven between the chapters are quotes that highlight his ongoing psychological deterioration. His growing despair seeps between the lines, allowing readers to viscerally feel the stages of his disintegration. With each chapter, each quote, and each visual, Yozo becomes less and less human. Love also plays a tragic and complex role in the life of the protagonist. Struggling with his identity, depression, and desires, he searches for solace in relationships. Yozo experiences several romances, but all are doomed from the start. He longs for love as a means of escaping his inner emptiness, yet true happiness remains out of reach. His first love, a kind-hearted girl, is taken from him in an attempted double suicide where only she dies, leaving him devastated. Later, he engages in affairs with multiple women, but none of these encounters bring him peace. The most heartbreaking story unfolds with Yoshino. She loves him sincerely, and for a fleeting moment, he seems to find happiness by her side. Their marriage seems to really change Yozo for time in the manga. However, his self-destructive nature ultimately ruins their relationship, leaving only heartbreak and despair in its wake. In the end, Yozo's love life mirrors his profound loneliness and inability to form real connections. Every romantic chapter in the manga ends in sorrow, underscoring his tragic path of self-destruction. Beyond Yozo's personal tragedy, the manga addresses deeper societal themes: the crushing expectations placed upon individuals, the relentless pressure to conform, and the terror of being perceived as abnormal. Yozo represents those who cannot adapt, those who slip into a destructive cycle instead. The story resonates with the existentialist themes. Yozo wrestles with the meaning of his existence, perceiving life as utterly devoid of purpose. He sees himself as no longer human, a being estranged from society. This echoes the philosophies of Sartre and Camus, both of whom explored alienation and life's inherent absurdity. But Furuya wasn't the only one to adapt No Longer Human into a manga. Junji Ito also released a single volume called No Longer Human in 2009. Ito is a master of horror, and his adaptation of No Longer Human infuses the story with a much more terrifying atmosphere. His version deviates in significant ways from the original novel, with Ito opting to heighten the psychological horror aspects of the story. Ito's adaptation is a stark departure from Furuya's more measured approach. It is much more overtly graphic and terrifying, focusing on the grotesque and unsettling elements of Yozo's psyche. The art style is detailed and exaggerated, with dramatic panel compositions that emphasize grotesque facial expressions and disturbing imagery. This choice of style adds an extra layer of horror, where the protagonist's emotional breakdown is visualized through disturbing and nightmarish illustrations. Furuya's illustrations are a blend of detailed, yet slightly exaggerated realism. His art carries a certain fluidity and expressionism, with scenes often framed in a way that highlights the emotional states of the characters. His approach lends itself well to the somber tone of Decay's novel, allowing readers to feel the weight of the protagonist's inner world. The visuals are detailed and realistic, but remain subdued, matching the novel's reflection on human frailty and despair. On the other hand, Junji Ito's work is instantly recognizable due to his signature style, characterized by highly detailed, grotesque illustrations. The sharp contrast and the tension in his line work create an atmosphere of fear and suspense, which contrasts sharply with Furuya's more introspective and measured approach. Ito's rendering of Yozo's mental disintegration is visually intense, often emphasizing horrific imagery like distorted faces and exaggerated body horror. This style heightens the eerie, surreal elements of the narrative. Both adaptations retain the core themes of No Longer Human, the profound sense of alienation, the search for self-identity, and the inability to connect with others. However, their treatment of these themes diverges. In Furuya's adaptation, the themes are explored through a lens of melancholy and philosophical reflection. The pacing allows for long moments of introspection, and the existential questions posed by Yozo are central to the experience. Furuya's art invites readers into the protagonist's tortured mind, allowing us to feel the weight of his depression and confusion. Ito, in contrast, turns the psychological breakdown of Yozo into something much more visceral. The horror elements overshadow the more reflective moments. The themes of alienation are still present, but they are expressed through the grotesque and the horrific, which amplifies the sense of dread and despair. The reader is not just reading about Yozo's inner world, they're confronted with it directly through terrifying imagery. Usumaru Furuya's adaptation spans 3 volumes, serialized from 2009 to 2010. The pacing in these volumes is methodical, with each chapter drawing out the tragedy of Yozo's life. Junji Ito's adaptation, however, is a single-volume work published in 2009. Its concise format leads to a more intense reading experience, with the horror escalating quickly and the art heightening the tension from the very first page. While Furuya's version allows for more exploration of the narrative, Ito condenses the story into an explosive, yet intense, horror-filled journey. In conclusion, both adaptations of No Longer Human bring something unique to the table. Furuya's version is a more faithful and introspective interpretation, grounded in the melancholic and philosophical nature of Decay's novel. It's a slow burn, where the focus is on character development and emotional depth. Junji Ito's adaptation, however, turns the story into a terrifying exploration of mental illness and alienation, using his signature horror style to intensify the emotional horror of Yozo's life. It's a quick and intense ride, leaving a lasting impression with its haunting visuals. Ultimately, the 2 adaptations reflect the personal styles of their creators. Furuya's is thoughtful and introspective, while Ito's is horrific and surreal. Both interpretations are valid and compelling, offering different but equally powerful insights into the troubled life of Oba Yozo. I can highly recommend this manga to everyone who's into psychological themes and thrilling reads. It only has 3 volumes, so it's also a quick read. It has its own sad and deep vibe, which is relatable and connects to your own experiences. For me, it gave me a similar feeling to when I read Goodnight Pun Pun, except that it's a much faster read and doesn't have any boring or stretched parts. If you've already read No Longer Human, let me know about your experience. Leave a like and subscribe. See you soon. Goodbye.